The scorching winds of exoplanet XR392 whipped across the research base, carrying fine particles of rust-colored dust that clung to every surface. Dr. Hana Kim stood motionless, her weathered hands carefully brushing away decades of cosmic sediment from a strange metallic fragment that seemed to whisper secrets of a forgotten time. Jay Park, her young research assistant, adjusted the scanning equipment with nervous precision. The equipment hummed softly, its blue-green lights blinking in a rhythmic pattern that seemed almost alive. He knew something was different about this discovery, something that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. The fragment was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Its surface shimmered with an impossible iridescence, reflecting light in ways that defied the basic laws of physics. Intricate circuit-like patterns ran along its edges, so delicate that they looked like they could dissolve with a single breath. "Look at this," Hana muttered, her voice barely above a whisper. She traced the edge of the artifact with a specialized probe, watching as the scanning equipment began to react in unexpected ways. Numbers flickered across the screen, complex mathematical sequences that seemed to dance and shift, refusing to be captured by conventional analysis. Jay leaned closer. The artifact was small, no larger than a human palm, but it carried a weight of mystery that seemed to fill the entire research tent. Outside, the harsh landscape of XR392 stretched endlessly, a desolate world that had kept its secrets buried for millennia. The research base was a collection of reinforced habitat modules, positioned carefully around the excavation site. Metal structures gleamed under the twin suns, creating sharp shadows that moved like living things across the rocky terrain. They had been here for months, carefully documenting every centimeter of the site, hoping to uncover something, anything, that might explain the strange energy readings they had detected from orbit. "These markings," Jay said, pointing to a series of microscopic etchings along the artifact's surface, "they're not random. They look like a language, but not one I've ever seen before." Hana nodded. She had been in this field for over 20 years, had explored dozens of alien sites across the galaxy, but this was different. This felt like more than just another archaeological discovery. This felt like a message waiting to be understood. The research team had discovered the artifact buried deep beneath layers of compressed rock and mineral deposits. It had taken weeks of careful excavation, using precision laser cutting and molecular separation techniques to free the small object from its ancient prison. Night was falling quickly on XR392. The twin suns dropped below the horizon, casting the landscape in deep purples and blues. The research base's protective shields hummed to life, creating a bubble of safety against the planet's harsh environment. Jay connected the artifact to a complex analysis system, watching as multiple holographic displays came to life. Each screen showed different aspects of the object: molecular composition, energy signature, structural integrity. But something was strange. The readings kept changing, almost as if the artifact was responding to their investigation. "Dr. Kim," he called out, "you need to see this." Hana moved closer, her eyes reflecting the shifting holographic displays. The artifact seemed to pulse with an internal energy, sending out subtle waves of information that their most advanced equipment could barely comprehend. "It's not just an object," she whispered. "It's a message." Outside, the winds continued to blow. Dust swirled around the research base, creating patterns that seemed almost deliberate. The universe, it seemed, was preparing to reveal a secret that had been waiting for centuries. Jay's hands moved across the control panel, trying to stabilize the readings, but the artifact had its own plans. With a sudden burst of light that filled the entire research tent, it began to reveal something that would change everything they understood about human history. The discovery on XR392 was just the beginning. Something ancient was awakening, and humanity was about to learn that their understanding of their own past was nothing more than a small, insignificant fragment of a much larger story. As the night deepened and the research base hummed with energy, Dr. Hana Kim and Jay Park stood together, watching the artifact that would soon unlock a mystery beyond their wildest imagination. The research complex buzzed with nervous energy. Scientists from different departments crowded around the sealed analysis chamber, watching through thick glass as Dr. Hana Kim and Jay Park worked with the mysterious artifact. Computer screens flickered with complex data streams. Strange symbols and mathematical equations danced across multiple displays, challenging everything scientists believed they understood about human technological history. "These encryption patterns," Jay muttered, his fingers moving rapidly across the holographic keyboard. "They're not like anything in our current database." He zoomed into a microscopic circuit pattern that seemed to pulse with an internal rhythm. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the head of interdimensional research, watched with growing fascination. Her dark eyes narrowed as she studied the changing data. Something about these patterns felt different. They carried a complexity that suggested an intelligence far beyond current technological understanding. The artifact had been carefully sealed in a quantum isolation chamber. Special radiation shields prevented any potential contamination, while advanced scanning systems probed every microscopic detail. Every movement, every tiny shift was being recorded and analyzed. Jay discovered the first breakthrough during our routine molecular frequency scan. The artifact's internal structure began responding to specific electromagnetic frequencies, not randomly, but with calculated precision. It was almost as if the object was communicating, sending out coded messages that their systems were barely beginning to understand. "Look at this sequence," he called out, highlighting a specific data stream. The numbers seemed to dance, transforming from complex mathematical equations into what appeared to be a structured communication protocol. Outside the research complex, the galaxy continued its endless rotation. Distant stars burned silently, unaware of the potential revelation happening in this small, climate-controlled room. Dr. Kim carefully adjusted the scanning parameters. Her hands moved with practiced precision, decades of research experience guiding her actions. She had explored archaeological sites across multiple star systems, but nothing compared to this discovery. The artifact seemed to have multiple layers of encryption. Each time they believed they had decoded a section, another complex pattern would emerge. It was like solving a puzzle where the pieces continuously reshaped themselves. "This isn't just technology," Dr. Rodriguez commented, studying the holographic representations. "This looks like a message, a deliberate, carefully constructed communication system." Alien researchers from 3 different star systems had been invited to observe the research. Representatives from the Orion Confederation, the Proxima Council, and the Centauri Research Network watched with a mixture of curiosity and growing unease. Their communication systems were advanced. They had technologies that allowed instantaneous communication across hundreds of light years. But this human artifact suggested something entirely different, a communication method that transcended current technological understanding. Jay noticed something strange happening with the quantum scanners. The artifact's internal structure seemed to be adjusting, responding to their investigation in ways that defied conventional scientific explanation. It was almost as if the object was alive, learning, adapting. "We're dealing with something beyond our current comprehension," Dr. Kim said quietly, her voice carrying a mix of excitement and caution. The research team worked in shifts. Complex computer systems ran continuous analysis, breaking down each microscopic detail of the artifact. They discovered fragments of what appeared to be technological blueprints, designs for energy systems, communication protocols, and engineering, concepts that seemed centuries ahead of current galactic technology. As hours turned into days, the discovery began attracting attention from scientific communities across multiple star systems. Research grants were redirected, top scientists were reassigned, and political discussions began about the potential implications of this finding. What if humans had once possessed technological capabilities far beyond what current civilizations understood? What secrets were hidden in this small, seemingly insignificant artifact? The artifact continued to pulse softly in its quantum isolation chamber. Lights flickered across its surface, creating patterns that suggested a complexity far beyond simple mechanical design. Something was waiting to be discovered. A message from the past. A technology that had been hidden, waiting for the right moment to be understood. And in that research complex, surrounded by the most advanced scientific equipment in the known galaxy, Dr. Hana Kim and her team were about to unlock a mystery that would change everything humanity thought it knew about its own history. The quantum research lab hummed with an electric tension. Soft blue lights illuminated rows of advanced scanning equipment, casting long shadows across the metallic surfaces. Dr. Hana Kim stood near the central workstation, her hands moving carefully across complex holographic controls. Jay Park had been working for 36 continuous hours. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, but excitement kept him alert. The artifact they had discovered was slowly revealing its secrets, piece by complicated piece. "We're getting something," he announced, his voice slightly hoarse from hours of continuous work. The quantum interface system began to take shape. Metal components that looked more like living circuits than traditional technology started connecting. Each piece seemed to know exactly where it needed to be, almost as if guided by an unseen intelligence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched from a secure observation area. Her breath caught in her throat as the system began to pulse with an internal energy. The lights in the research lab flickered momentarily, responding to the artifact's increasing power output. Something extraordinary was happening. The reconstructed system was unlike anything in current galactic technology. It responded to human neural patterns with an accuracy that defied current scientific understanding. When Jay placed his hand near a specific circuit, the entire system seemed to recognize him, adapting, changing, responding. "It's adaptive," he whispered. "The technology doesn't just work, it learns." Quantum manipulation had always been a theoretical concept for most scientific communities. Researchers had spent decades trying to create systems that could process multiple dimensional possibilities simultaneously. But this human artifact showed a level of technology that made current systems look like primitive toys. Dr. Kim carefully connected a series of quantum stabilizers. Each movement was calculated, precise. She understood the potential danger of what they were attempting. One wrong connection could create a catastrophic energy surge. The system began to demonstrate capabilities that seemed impossible. It could process complex mathematical equations in microseconds, manipulate energy fields with remarkable precision, and create communication pathways that seemed to exist beyond traditional dimensional understanding. Outside the research complex, clouds gathered. Lightning flickered across the distant horizon, as if nature itself was responding to the technological breakthrough happening inside. "The energy signatures are unlike anything we've ever seen," Dr. Rodriguez commented, studying the multiple monitoring screens. "This isn't just advanced technology. This is something else entirely." Jay noticed something strange happening with the quantum interface. The system was generating holographic projections, complex three-dimensional maps that showed intricate technological designs. Each projection seemed to tell a piece of a larger story, hints of a human technological legacy that had been hidden for centuries. The research team worked carefully, documenting every single discovery. They understood that what they were witnessing could potentially rewrite everything humanity knew about its own technological history. Energy began to flow through the reconstructed system. It wasn't electrical energy in the traditional sense. This was something more, a type of quantum flow that seemed to have its own consciousness, its own purpose. Dr. Kim placed her hand near a specific quantum circuit. The entire system responded, sending out intricate waves of information that danced across the holographic displays. It was almost like communication, but beyond traditional language. "We're not just reconstructing technology," she said quietly. "We're awakening something that was waiting to be discovered." The alien scientific community would soon learn about these discoveries. Political tensions would rise. Some would want to study the technology, others would want to suppress it. But for now, in this moment, something ancient and powerful was coming back to life. The quantum interface continued to pulse. Complex mathematical sequences transformed into visual representations. Technological blueprints emerged, showing engineering concepts that seemed to challenge the very fabric of known scientific understanding. Jay looked at Dr. Kim, No words were needed. They both understood that they were witnessing something extraordinary, a technological resurrection that would change everything. The artifact had been waiting. Buried for centuries, hidden from understanding, it had preserved its secrets. And now, in this quiet research lab, those secrets were finally being revealed. Something incredible was about to happen. The interstellar diplomatic chamber buzzed with tension. Representatives from multiple alien civilizations sat in a circular arrangement, their eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the human technological discovery. Dr. Hana Kim stood at the center, her calm demeanor masking the enormous weight of the moment. Beside her, Jay Park held a secure data crystal containing the recovered human technologies. "We're talking about something that could change everything we understand about technological development," she explained, her voice steady and clear. The Proxima Council representative, a tall being with iridescent skin, leaned forward. "These technologies represent a potential threat to galactic stability," he declared, his translator device converting his complex language into simple human speech. The Orion Confederation delegates whispered among themselves. Some looked excited, others appeared deeply concerned. The quantum interface technology they were seeing challenged everything they knew about technological evolution. Jay activated a holographic projection. Complex technological blueprints began to rotate slowly, revealing intricate design principles that seemed to defy current scientific understanding. Energy manipulation systems, communication protocols, and dimensional engineering concepts emerged like living images. Humans were not just a technological species, Jay explained. They were architects of potential. Political tensions escalated quickly. The Centauri Research Network wanted immediate control of the discovered technologies. Their scientific teams had already begun preparing extraction protocols, hoping to study and potentially replicate the advanced systems. But Dr. Kim had anticipated this response. She had carefully prepared legal and scientific documentation that would protect the discovery. The research team had created multiple secure backups, ensuring that no single civilization could monopolize the information. "These technologies are not a weapon," she stated firmly. "They are a legacy of understanding." Outside the diplomatic chamber, massive starships maintained defensive positions. Each civilization's military presence was a silent reminder of the potential conflict brewing over this extraordinary discovery. The quantum interface continued to reveal its secrets. Each new revelation suggested that human technological capabilities were far more advanced than anyone had previously imagined. Communication systems that could potentially traverse multiple universal planes. Energy manipulation techniques that could reshape entire planetary environments. Jay noticed the growing unease among the alien representatives. Some looked fascinated, others looked terrified. The idea that humans, a species often considered primitive and aggressive, might have possessed such advanced technologies was difficult to comprehend. "We're offering transparency," Dr. Kim continued. "Our goal is collaborative research, not technological dominance." But transparency was the last thing many representatives wanted. Secret research teams were already being assembled. Military strategists began analyzing potential applications of the recovered technologies. An unexpected alliance began to form. Researchers from different species, those genuinely curious about scientific discovery, started working together. They recognized that this was bigger than political boundaries or territorial disputes. The research base on exoplanet XR392 became a heavily guarded location. Multiple civilizations sent their top scientific teams, each hoping to unlock the secrets hidden within the human artifacts. Jay managed the technological security protocols. Multiple encryption systems protected the most sensitive data. No single civilization could completely access all the recovered information. Dr. Kim understood the delicate balance they were maintaining. One wrong move could trigger an interstellar conflict. The technologies they had discovered were too powerful, too transformative to be controlled by a single group. As diplomatic discussions continued, the quantum interface kept revealing new layers of complexity. It was almost as if the technology itself was alive, choosing what to reveal and when. The calm universe watched and waited. Political boundaries blurred. Scientific curiosity overcame territorial concerns. And in the center of this galactic confrontation stood a small team of human researchers, holding the key to a technological legacy that could reshape everything. The confrontation was just beginning, and no one, not a single civilization, truly understood what was about to be unleashed. The Universal Archive stood silent, its massive crystalline structures reflecting the light of distant stars. Dr. Hana Kim walked slowly, her footsteps echoing through corridors that had waited centuries for this moment. Jay Park checked the final quantum sequence. His hands moved carefully across complex holographic controls, each movement calculated and precise. The artifact they had discovered was about to reveal its ultimate secret. "We're ready," he whispered. The entire research team held their breath. Alien scientists from multiple star systems watched through secure communication channels. Something extraordinary was about to happen. The quantum interface began to pulse. Soft blue light filled the archive chamber, creating patterns that seemed to dance with living intelligence. Complex mathematical sequences transformed into visual representations, telling a story that had been hidden for generations. Dr. Kim understood now. This wasn't just a technological discovery. This was a message, a carefully constructed plan that humans had designed millennia ago. The first revelation was shocking. Humans hadn't just been a technological species. They had been architects of a complex multi-generational preservation strategy. The artifacts were more than technology. They were a sophisticated backup system for human knowledge. "They planned this," Jay said, his voice filled with wonder. "Humans created a way to preserve their entire technological legacy." The archive systems began to activate. Massive data networks came to life, connecting through quantum communication pathways that defied current understanding. Information started flowing. Scientific discoveries, technological blueprints, historical records that had been carefully hidden. Each piece of information was like a puzzle. Complex encryption systems protected the most sensitive data, ensuring that only those who could truly understand would have access. Outside the archive, stars continued their endless dance. Distant galaxies spun silently, unaware of the extraordinary moment unfolding. The protocol revealed multiple layers of human technological development, energy manipulation systems that could reshape entire planetary environments, communication technologies that could potentially connect across multiple dimensional planes, scientific understanding that made current galactic technologies look primitive. "They knew," Dr. Kim said quietly. "They knew something might happen to their civilization, so they created a backup plan." The alien scientific community watched in growing amazement. The recovered technology suggested that humans were far more advanced than anyone had ever imagined, not just a species of warriors and explorers, but truly sophisticated technological architects. Jay discovered something extraordinary buried deep within the data streams, mathematical sequences that suggested humans had developed technologies to preserve their collective knowledge across multiple potential future scenarios. The Universal Archive continued to reveal its secrets. Historical records showed glimpses of a human civilization that was complex, innovative, and incredibly forward-thinking. They had not just created technologies, they had designed a comprehensive strategy for technological resurrection. "This isn't just preservation," Dr. Rodriguez commented, studying the incoming data. "This is a complete blueprint for rebuilding human technological capabilities." The final activation sequence began. Quantum communication pathways opened, connecting. Through networks that spanned multiple star systems, information flowed like living energy, carrying the collective knowledge of a civilization that had planned for its own potential extinction. Dr. Kim understood the true brilliance of the plan. Humans had created a system that could rebuild their technological capabilities regardless of what might happen to their original civilization. Alien representatives watched in a mixture of fear and fascination. The recovered technologies suggested capabilities that could potentially reshape entire galactic power structures. The protocol continued to unfold. Scientific discoveries, technological blueprints, historical records, all carefully preserved, waiting for the right moment to be rediscovered. Jay looked at Dr. Kim. No words were needed. They both understood that they were witnessing something extraordinary, the resurrection of a technological legacy that had been waiting centuries to be revealed. As the final sequences completed, the Universal Archive pulsed with energy. Humans had not just survived. They had planned. They had prepared. And now their greatest legacy was about to be unleashed.